All right, welcome everybody. Another episode of Insurance 360.
Cheers it up.
There you go, Bob and Rob. Another beautiful day in Philadelphia. It's 1 week post Super Bowl. I'm still feeling the glory of it all.
And he was at the parade. I decided to go to the casino.
Yeah,
it was still fun.
It was pretty interesting to say the least. Just think of it as like you and a million of your best friends in one spot, just all hugging, cheering, and drinking about 7 a.m. That was sort of the vibe that was going on there.
I saw one guy camped out at like midnight, and he cooked a pig. And he was sharing it with the news reporters. And they were like, this is the best thing we've ever had.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Well, we've been going through a lot of good stuff this year. And being that it's OEP, this is really the time of year where we feel like, listen, we've gone through AEP and all the Medicare stuff. You're going back and seeing a lot of people during OEP. They got their policies. What should they be doing during OEP, right?
I mean, in my opinion, it should be add-ons, right?
A lot of opportunity for add-ons. So, and we went deep in thought and said, who would be somebody that'd be really good to speak with about adding on some extra policies, some of those policies to cover some of those gaps that might be in some Medicare Advantage plans out there. And
the king of Ancillary is
what I was calling. The king of Ancillary, as far as I'm concerned, is Mr. Jamie Sarno down at AmeriLife. So, Jamie, welcome to Insurance 360, my man.
Oh, wow. Bob and Rob, thank you for the invite. What an introduction. I'm loving this. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Jamie's been a friend of Pinnacle for I won't say how long, but he's had probably 4 or 5 different lives in the insurance industry at this point, right? Going from being somebody who ran their own agency, somebody that worked on the carrier side, somebody's worked on the FMO side. So he's sort of seen it all and has pretty much every perspective. So if you're an agent and you say, like, how do I do this? If you're an FMO, how do I market this, right?
Yeah.
Sort of every aspect of it. So when we look at all that's going on right now in the Medicare world, it seems like more that's changing than staying the same. Consistency is not something we're seeing right now.
No. I mean, it's part of the reason why I kind of love the industry.
Yeah, right.
I'm a tech guy, and technology is the same way. And I think it always keeps us on our feet because you're always having to learn something new, or something you're really familiar with becomes no longer something you're familiar with, almost like the DSNP market.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. So Jamie, I think in our experience, and I'd love to get your perspective on this, we see Medicare Advantage plans, we see some of the gaps in there, and we feel like there's some obvious things that any type of all the opportunities out there for an insurance professional to really help clients. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously Med Advantage is got a lot of great stuff, but it's not perfect.
Right. Well, nothing is perfect. There's always going to be gaps if you look close enough. And, I have always followed that rule that if I feel a certain way about having a gap or exposure where I could spend my money, why would someone else not have the same, fears, so to speak? So with a Medicare Advantage plan, or any insurance plan for that matter, I'm always wanting to put my client in the best possible situation to where if they use their policy, I want them to come to me and say, Jamie, thank you. You did such a great job. We didn't have to pay anything. Well, to be able to do that, you have to know where the gaps are. And typically with a Medicare Advantage plan, they're all similar, right? They have different copays and different aspects that they're better or worse on. But what I always say is this: the first time your client Medicare Advantage enrollee is going to go, wow, I can't believe I have to pay that, is if they have a stay in the hospital where they have to pay maybe $250, $300, or $350 a day for the first 5 days. They're not expecting that, even though the agent told them, hey, it's pay as you go. You got a max amount of pocket. But if you do go in the hospital, you'll pay X amount. They're really never thinking about that. I sum it up this way. When you're finished enrolling your Medicare Advantage enrollee, they remember three things. My insurance, I don't pay anything. It's free to me. Number two, I get to keep my doctor. And number three, my drugs are covered. Other than that, they're not thinking about the bigger copays. So I always want to make sure I take care of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when we think about, I like to think about the process. So I think I visually like to think about, I'm sitting with the client, I'm over the phone with the client, however I'm doing my sale, and you're going through your fact finder, you're talking about, what coverage is, the prescription drugs. It seems to me that in that process, it really should just be part of it, right? It shouldn't be like, hey, by the way, do you also want to buy another policy? It really should be just seamless, so that you're just leading through the process, and it's like, well, this policy had a little bit of gap. Remember, I spoke to you about that earlier. We have a way to take care of that, and we're just going to hit a couple extra buttons. So, what do you think about the process itself? Right?
You're exactly right. You hit it on the head. So yeah, you want to make it smooth. It's not at the end. Hey, would you like to have hospital coverage? No one's going to want that. So yes, you have to be smooth. You have to sell it, and it has to be seamless. You said all those things, but that's one thing about Medicare Advantage plans. They all have a copay for the hospital. So it's not like you don't need to be fearful of losing your Medicare Advantage enrollment because you're bringing up a negative, right? You are mentioning it through the pitch. You have a copay, it's $350 if you go in the hospital, but there's ways that we can take care of that. We'll talk about that later, just as you said. And I think when you let them know that, hey, all Medicare Advantage plans have copays for the hospital, I'm going to make sure you're on the best one that suits you. But there is something that most people want to go along with their plan. If they go into a hospital, that copay that I mentioned earlier, they always want to make sure they have that covered. And honestly, for about $1 a day, we can take care of that. And you won't ever have to worry about going in the hospital for 5 days and owing $2,000.
Yeah, exactly. And I know, Rob, you talk about this a lot with agents, and all the trainings you do. A lot of the plans, and Jamie, the companies are always a little bit different, but a lot of them are just guaranteed issue on these extra plans, whether it's hospital indemnity, whether you're looking at dental, vision, and hearing as an ancillary option. So, the thought process of like, hey, this person has a lot of health issues, I don't think they can get this coverage. That doesn't shut this down. I mean, when you look at the product, Rob, are you seeing this stuff?
Yeah, and I mean, I think more now than ever, and Jamie, you can maybe back me up on this, but looking at the products now compared to 5 years ago, I think GTL was really the only one that did that 64.5 to 65.5 guarantee issue. Now you have almost every carrier, and you have some that even go into, I think, the 79, or is Wellaby 79 or 74. I mean, it's
79.
Something crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just unheard of. So there's no excuse really at the end of the day to not be able to get your clients in something that they can fit in.
You got it. And you said it. GTL led the way with that. And I will tell you, I would call Dimitri and say, what are you guys doing? Are you insane? Love that, man.
Every time we say Dimitri, we got to take a shot. Here you
go. Buying sparkling water. All right.
There you go.
Nice.
So, boy, was I wrong on that, because it's been this like a space race to who can have the widest GI range. And you're exactly right. There's so many good ones, but now you can actually go using different carriers from age 60 all the way up to 79. So
Yeah.
you tell me that
Yeah. What
that's a
is it?
huge.
Yeah, and then we're talking about a lot of different companies and options that are out there. I know, we've been looking at the new United Healthcare one, which I think the industry has just been kind of taken off with here a little bit. Um, Aetna's got them, Cigna's got them. So it even makes it a little bit easier sometimes. Maybe you're selling an United Healthcare Advantage plan. It's still United Healthcare, right? I know there's some of that goes on as well. So,
Oh,
whatever works for the agent, right? I mean, if they'd rather have that, there's a lot of options out there.
you're not going to go wrong with any of the carriers that we have, right? The
Yes.
Pinnacle has it. They're all top notch, and they're all going to do what they need to do. And you're exactly right. If an agent loves GTL, by all means, offer GTL. If it's UHC, offer it. If it's Wellaby, offer it. But look at those GI ranges, and I can't tell you how many times I've been in a house. You find a buyer, you get the message across that they need it, and then it comes down and they go, oh, I forgot to give you one of my medicines. It's on my nightstand. They run and go get it, and they bring it back, and you go, oh, no, they can't get any of this. So it really takes the sting out of it. You can help a lot of people. You can be very successful with this. And I make sure that I always say this. If someone has not good health, but they can qualify for a plan, any plan, and this is before the GIs came out, I would let them know how important you being on this plan. Most carriers aren't going to take you for some of these things that you have. Never drop this plan. And they don't. They keep it. They remember those words. So when you have GI available, let all your clients know at the end, when everything's put away or you're hanging up that phone, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to tell you this: never drop this, because most of the time you're not insurable, and they understand they're not insurable. So it's a good thing.
No, that makes sense. Absolutely. Now, I don't want to be remiss in talking about our good friends in the Med Sup world, right? So Medicare supplement, I think as an industry, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just going to go out and say flat, in general, right? I know here at Pinnacle, we're still doing a ton of the Medicare supplement, a little bit different of a sale, but there's certainly some ancillary even opportunities. Obviously, you don't get some of the additional benefits like a dental, vision, and hearing plan, right? Maybe you want to take a look at a standalone cancer. So I think there's some other things to look at, even if you're that Med Sup agent or the agent selling both of those, depending on the client. So the DVH world, I mean, the companies out there are making these plans better and better, 5,000 out-of-pocket maximums. They're covering things more so in the first year than they ever had before.
Physicians Mutual doesn't even have.
Some with no maximum. You got it. You got it. No
Yeah,
maximum.
so
It's the plan I'm on. I signed myself up for that one.
yeah, exactly. So what are you seeing in the DVH world? I mean, everybody seems to be coming out with better plans these days, and they're guaranteed issue, and you can go up to 99 from what I've seen, right?
Oh, for sure you can. And that has always been the leader, right? Because when you're aging into Medicare, one of the things you're losing, and you don't realize it, when you have a major medical, you got a dental plan, whether you work for a corporation or not, you're losing your dental coverage. So It's a big deal. It's a great way to get leads, advertising for dental, vision, hearing, but letting your client that's aging in know you're not going to have that anymore. So we're going to make sure you have your dental. Okay. Because, when I look at what I was paying being self-employed for a family plan for Blue Cross Blue Shield, $3,600 a month. This was 2.5 years ago, with a $6,000 deductible. So you're looking at spending 50 grand before you even use that. Well, I should say 40 grand before you use it, and then to use it, you're getting close to 50 grand. So when you're aging into Medicare, whether it be a Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage, that's inexpensive compared to what's coming out of people's checks now, because insurance isn't free even when you're working, right? Used to be it was all paid. So dental, vision, hearing, dental especially, that is the gateway into 65, and then spreading out what are all the other products that I need. Because they usually, turning 65, they want to know what do I need? They're putting everything in your hands to figure it out. And we know what they need. They need dental. They might need a supplement or a Medicare Advantage. They might need a cancer plan, as you said, cancer, heart attack, stroke, maybe a short-term nursing home policy. So there's so many.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We don't want to be remiss. I mean, the short-term care, we've been doing a ton of training on that. And it seems like it's maybe catching on that little bit more, like where to position it, how to, you're really looking at some very limited questions even to get that. And it's pretty much, can you do your ADLs and do you have a cognitive impairment?
That's
And if
it.
you can sort of answer those, you can get a policy. So, even though that's not true guaranteed issue typically, it is one that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people who haven't done planning, or they have an old LTC plan and maybe they have a 365-day deductible on it, right? An elimination period on it.
You got it.
You can plug that right in. It makes so much sense. And we do a lot of training on our platforms, our enrollment platforms. So the ancillary, a lot of times, are even on our Connecture platform, right, Rob? We're looking at that. Jamie, Connecture, are you seeing a lot of that being looked at through that way?
For sure. And I will tell you, Connecture, Sunfire is on a mission to get ancillary products across the board. So I know they're going to have a lot of releases over the next 30, 60 days on that.
Yeah, I've been hearing, I hope. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we talked about it a little bit in the beginning. There's a lot of changes in our industry, a lot of moving parts. You never know with the government, depending what happens every 4 years, we just sort of hold our breath, in our industry at this point. I mean, who the heck knows? Now's the time. You got to start, you can't just be doing one product, because that's just I call it the road to perdition, right? I mean, it's going to be changes. It's just like how drastic they're going to be depending on who's in charge, right?
Well, from a statistics standpoint too, I mean, you look at it, it's like I forget who does the presentation on this, but it's like 40% with one policy, 60% or 65% when you get to two, and then when you get three or more, it bumps all the way up to like 90 or 92%.
Oh yeah.
Don't quote me, but it's somewhere around there.
No, you're exactly right. That's a great point, and that's how you build real wealth in a great block of business, because it's a solid block. Because whether it be our retirement accounts, whatever it might be, everything in moderation, diversified. You want to diversify your portfolio in your sales, because as you said, and Bob, what was it you said the other day? If you make a joke, it's funny. If the government does it, it's funny.
If I make a joke, it's a joke. If the government makes a joke, it's the law.
My favorite line.
Yeah. So
that's
you never know. Yeah.
You never know. But I always say, and this is probably horrible to say, but I always look at the ancillary indemnity products as like the cockroach if the nuclear bomb fell. The cockroaches are going to live no matter what happens.
Exactly.
So do indemnity products. And so
persistency.
If they make an unwise decision in Washington, D.C., and they do something to MA, at least all your eggs aren't in one basket. And I will tell you, one thing to look out for is this birthday rule for MedSup. We have 8 states right now that have birthday rule, with another 7 that are on the horizon to go into effect. And this is something that's happening. It's not federal, but it's state. And it's really hurting Medicare supplement carriers, because you're buying claims if you've got guaranteed coverage. So that's something to watch for.
Yeah, well, we've been seeing more of that, to your point, and we've already seen some of the effects of that. I think you're seeing some carriers pull out of some states. You're seeing rate increases where I never saw so many double-digit rate increases.
Yeah.
The 5% to 6% to 2%. Now we're seeing 12 or 15 or 11, or it seems as though we're already seeing the impact of the birthday rules in the market, which, as I mentioned before, is pretty much flat at this point, right? So
right.
we're definitely having things happen there. I don't know. We got to start looking at maybe high deductible G plans. I mean, I don't think they've sort of taken off yet, right? But it could make sense.
Carriers, though, too. I mean, obviously we use CSG when we do a lot of these things. And when you're looking at kind of that breakdown, I always encourage agents to make sure that they're taking a look at what their increase history looks like. The average doesn't always make sense, right? Because they might have had nothing for 3 years and then they have a 12% increase. But that's when you look at the carriers. I mean, United Healthcare, you give them a shout out on subs. I mean, they are kind of like the industry standard, right? 3 to 5%. And they've been that way for a long time. Now, you can't hold that for some plans. Like a plan F is not going to hold a 3 to 5%. But on their plan G and their plan N, I think, they've done really well at holding that. They're never the cheapest, but they're also never the most expensive. And they hold that spot every year since I started here, really.
Yeah. Jamie, talk about that a little bit. Yeah, I think that's something where so many of our agents that are in the med sub world, maybe look at $1 or $2 or $3 and will go to a certain company that doesn't have that strong rate history, right? And I think that matters because you don't want to have to keep rolling your block every 3-4 years, right?
No, you want to set it and forget it. I mean, honestly. And you're right. All plans are agent driven. When an agent believes in the product and likes the product, they will push that product. When you look at a plan in, I think a plan in is a great plan, but agents cannot get over, and not all of them because sales have gone up on plan in, but a lot of them are still apprehensive that it doesn't cover the excess charges, even though the percentage is high that you're never going to see an excess charge because they take Medicare. And when you take Medicare, you don't get the excess charge. Same way on high deductible plans, agents are apprehensive about that. Oh, well, it's a couple of thousand. I wanted to pay before that. If they would pitch it to their client, especially those ones that have the income that can withstand a couple of $1,000 paying out of their own pocket, you can get a Medicare supplement high deductible for $50, $60.
Right.
Very reasonable. And it's not going to have the rate increase.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It makes sense. And like anything, one thing is not perfect for everybody, but there's a lot of options out there. And I think that's when a lot of the training comes in. I know, Jamie, you're going all over the country and doing trainings at agencies and do tons of webinars. And I know internally we kind of do the same thing. If you had a magic bullet, right? What's your like final thought? Like as an agent, I'm out there, I'm visiting with people, I think it's about mindset sometimes, and some of those things, but what should they really look at the end of the day?
That's a great question. And I will tell you, this has been the way I've been, and I see it out there. It's still that way, that as agents and as for myself, I'm always going to be drawn to the carrier, the company that makes it easy on me to make the sale, to make it easy for my client. So if they have a mobile rate tool that I can just pull up on my phone and calculate something just at ease. If they pay claims by, you just take a picture of the bill, the EOB or whatever it might be, and you can send it right in. And they pay well. They pay once or twice a week. Their underwriting, they're pretty consistent. So I know if I'm writing for a certain carrier and they have certain health conditions, I know that's going to be accepted. They've made it easy on me and taught me that because they have tools like drug lists. And sometimes they'll say, well, if the answers are no on the application, they're eligible. I love when a carrier stays to their word and keeps everything level so I don't have to guess, oh, look, they changed something. Now I'm getting declines all the time now. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little off on the bullet, but I think if I could make each company make it easier and easier, and a lot of them are doing it. They're really working hard to do it, but make it easier on the agent, that would go a long way. They would have everyone selling their product tomorrow if they could just make sure the agent's happy.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. Now, absolutely. Now, everyone on the call, just they probably don't talk to Jamie, but what Jamie's given is a lot of great information to us as a company, a lot of what we like to call that competitive intel. So if anybody needs to get information, when we talk about like those different hospital indemnity plans, what guaranteed issue options are available to what ages, you want to know about a little bit of a breakdown on pricing. We've got some really cool cheat sheets that I know Jamie has made available to us, and he does a great job with that competitive analysis. I think that's a little bit of a limiting factor sometimes. It's like, I don't really know the market. Who should I sell? How do I sell it? And what's the best option for me? So, Jamie, I know you've made a lot of that available for us to give out to the agent. So if you're an agent, you want to sell, you just got to tell us that you're interested. We'll help you. We'll get the information to you. We'll make it as easy as possible, to your point, to do business. And there's no reason everybody's in the Medicare world isn't doing some kind of ancillary.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, all you have to do, you don't even have to be a master at the products. You just mention it. I bet you sell 10% of every person if you just ask about hip products.
Yes.
All you do is ask. You don't have to be a master at it, right?
If I can say one thing to that, so my pitch, if I ever got into a home running a lead, I was always a face-to-face agent. I'd get in, it would be lock-in. They had a Medicare Advantage plan. I knew I couldn't change it. And I would always ask this: who'd you pick for your hospital indemnity plan to go along with your Humana or your United Healthcare? And they would go, well, I didn't pick one. I go, you didn't pick one. And they go, oh my gosh, was I supposed to? You go, yes. And here's why. And then that would open up everything, and just ask.
I love that. New leads.
There you go.
You're already in the home. Everyone's trying to find all these new leads. These are new sales to be made in the houses you're already in. Yeah. Whether they have a Medicare Advantage or not, whether they're an existing client or not, this is just another opportunity, right? If you can get this policy in there this year, maybe next year is the Medicare Advantage sale for you, right? That's just an opportunity down the road for you.
One foot in the door. You're dipping your toe.
If you don't go back to your client, I guarantee you someone else is going to stumble into that house. Even if they love you as an agent, someone's going to get through, and they can change everything. Get yours out of there and put theirs in. Don't let it happen.
Yeah, no, great point. I'm going to leave it on that point because I think that's as good as it gets. Make sure you're doing it. Helps your clients, helps you, persistency, lead generation, easy to do business, e-enrollments, guaranteed issue. What did I miss?
You sold me. I'm ready to go.
Time to do it, Jamie. All right, man. Well, I really appreciate it. I know I took a couple minutes out of your busy day here today. Thank you so much for imparting some wisdom on here to us, Rob and I, on our show here today. And, maybe we'll look forward to next time there's an update, we'll have you back on.
I'd love it, guys. Keep up the great work.
No, thank you again. Jamie. Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Take care.